I would like to welcome Mr. Ian Hindman. Cheers, man. How are you?
I'm good.
So please, Ian, tell us more about yourself, man.
My name's Ian Hindman. So 22 years in the Middle East, following stints living in Russia and the United States. Born in the UK originally, a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah, most of my life I've been a CEO managing restaurant groups in all of those various countries. And for the last 5 years, really been a consultant to restaurant and hospitality businesses in the region, in the Philippines, and consultancy projects in places as weird and wild as Kabul in Afghanistan and Baghdad in Iraq. Spent a little bit of time doing projects in Nigeria as well. So, yeah, I like to do different things, find challenges.
I remember back in the days, back like 2 decades ago, there is this word, emerging markets.
Yeah.
How can it's
it's a bit.
it's that term,
It depends who says it. If a Westerner says it, I think it can be a bit patronizing,
right?
because it makes it sound like these markets, it's better than third world, which was the other phrase that's awful. It makes it sound like they're not important and they're just copying the West, and that's not the case. There's more excitement. There's more new brands coming out of the East coming westwards than the other way, frankly.
Actually, I never look at it that way. When I hear emerging market, that term is like, oh, there's an opportunity there.
Yep. Yeah, that's for sure. And but the thing is, you have to accept that the standards you put into an emerging market have to be just as good as the standards you run in an established market. So it's what you can't do is think this is an emerging market. There are opportunities, so we can be as easy as we like there. It's easy pickings. That's not how it works.
I think realistically, I mean, I'm just talking in my what I think. It's not always the case, isn't it? It's very difficult to set the standard back where it was originated and setting the standard in that emerging marketplace.
You have to tweak
certain
it.
Challenges.
Oh yeah, you have to tweak. I mean, look at Dubai, 200 nationalities. So luckily for me and people like me, English is the language of business. But the tone of voice you use for marketing and promotion, for customer service, you have to adapt for all of those, or as many of those nationalities as you want to reach. It's not the same as doing business in the UK or the Philippines, for example, where there's a homogenous customer base and everybody you can talk to in the same way. You can't get away with that here. You've got to be much smarter, I think.
Oh dear. Yeah, but nowadays there's like there's another word that I remember, globalization.
Yeah.
Globalization. And then now I think globalization is now passé somehow.
To some
What do you
extent,
think?
well,
Yeah.
you had globalization, and that meant, or it was taken to mean, whatever worked in the States, you just copied it
Replicated,
everywhere else. And okay, McDonald's and Subway and people like that made a lot of money and had a lot of success from that. And most of that comes through franchising, which is one of my passions and one of my areas of expertise. But nowadays, you just got to be smarter, because you can take the core business, but you've got to localize it at the same time as globalize it. So if you look at some of the brands in China, they're huge, absolutely vast in
But
terms
we
of
have
number
no
of sizes.
idea what that is.
No.
Yeah,
And
we have
they've not
never
yet
heard.
ventured out in any numbers because the Chinese market's been so great.
Correct.
But they're coming. So, we're going to see if they operate globally different to the way that the North Americans did. I mean, Jollibee has gone global. It was a great Filipino brand, a great Filipino company. Now it's an international brand, and it's heading towards global dominance.
For the lack of a better word, I was like, it's so crazy to think about it that the earned media, the earned media that Jollibee makes, even from creators, even from foreign creators, the earned media, the reputation that it has, it's very lucrative.
Yeah. And, they must love Jollibee. Creators all over the world, because suddenly, you've had McDonald's, you've had Domino's where I came from, you've had all of these international brands that I've worked with and for. But for a creative, there are so many rules laid down. It has to be handled in this way and that way.
Yeah.
Jollibee's new. And so most of the markets it's pushing in now, it's the new face. So creatives have a chance to do things that maybe they couldn't do with a McDonald's or a
It
Domino's.
benefits both ends. It benefits Jollibee for the free ad because of the earned media, and it benefits also the creator because most of the time, they will invest. They will buy the whole menu,
Yep.
and then they will just.
I mean, Jollibee they have to grow, or else they'll be overtaken by the next Eastern brand that comes out.
Correct.
So they've got to be adventurous and they've got to push the boat out in a way that the established brands don't. I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw an ad that was interesting or different from one of the big brands.
Can you imagine? One of the first restaurants here is A&W. Now it's gone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I think it's about even in the first earlier years, Jollibee was here,
yep.
but it wasn't the proper franchise, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
maybe. But talking about that, the third word would be the localization.
Yeah. And, for years there have been lip service paid to localization. So the Mac Arabia,
Mac Arabia.
really, did it mean anything? No. It was almost a PR exercise. If you look at some of the younger, newer brands coming up, they're localizing in a much smarter way. They changed the way that their brand message is shared with customers.
Right.
The tone of voice, the way they approach customers is slightly different in different countries, and as well as changing the menu. And when I first came here, I was an absolute lover of Indian food. What I didn't realize was the Indian food I grew up with was British Indian. I came here
It's very different.
and it was so spicy, the Indian food here, because it was authentic. So the Indian food in Britain is not Indian food here. And you have to tweak things
There's some
to
tweaks
the
in it.
taste. Yeah. And to be honest, it stops the brand becoming boring anyway.
Another terminology that just went into my head is 15 minutes away from Burj Khalifa, 15 minutes away from the airport. That's passé.
Yeah, and we're lucky. So brands here, they have got that. They're in the city that has the tallest building in the world. They're in a city that's now well known throughout the world. I mean, I doubt there's anybody, very few people who haven't heard of Dubai.
Yeah.
And it's an aspirational city still where people want to come and see it. So if you can ally your brand name to Dubai, that's great.
Yeah.
And it's free publicity. It's free interest anyway. It's free engagement with people. They know you're in Dubai. It's a standard. To succeed in Dubai, you have to be of a certain standard, which is probably higher than it is in many other countries, simply because the competition is so great here, the range of customers is so great here, and then all the visitors on top. So, you remember how it used to be in restaurants? It used to be a big thing. You would have on the glass front, it would say London, New York, Paris.
London, New York, Paris. Yeah.
And if they had Dubai, it didn't mean very much.
Yeah.
Dubai means as much as any of those cities now, and perhaps to certain parts of the community, it means more. If you're young, which obviously I'm not, if you're young, then Dubai probably is much more engaging and much more interesting than it is being in London, for example.
Speaking of experience, bubble.
Bubble as
Is
in
it
bubble.
gonna be a bubble?
What, Dubai?
Is it gonna be like the real estate bubble? Is it going to be like what the things that happening right now that we're experiencing? Is it going to go back based on your?
It'll go back. It may not go back to exactly what it was before. We've been, over 22 years. I'm sure you've experienced it. We've had the economic downturns. We've had COVID. now we've got this
The
conflict
2018,
situation.
2008.
Yeah,
Yeah.
18, COVID, everything. I mean, they're all challenges. And at the end of the day, Dubai bounces back. And, we saw restaurants closing during the pandemic, including some big international
Big
names.
international.
It just made people realize that you had to run them better than you did before. Restaurants, it used to be easy making money with restaurants in Dubai when I first came here. Now it's more of a challenge. You've got to be smarter and you've got to do a better job if you want to survive any downturn.
Yeah. Is it really like, well, correct, it's better, running it better, but is it like running in the right circumstances, like the locality-ish?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's kind of like, yeah, is this strategy really, which, hence, that's why we have people like Ian. You have the trends, you have that knowledge, and you
Hope
know
so.
patterns,
Yeah.
right? So what could be the most interesting plot twist that you have experienced that you can share us, with us in this type of business?
I mean, I guess for me, I spent a few years being a consultant talking about franchising and international expansion strategy, high-level strategy for restaurants, without looking too closely at the operational standards. And then 18 months ago or so, one of my clients asked me to have a look at their operational standards from an objective outsider's viewpoint. And the way we did that was through mystery shopping. So it started off as a favor to a Filipino company in Manila, and they wanted us to do some mystery shoppers. We hired some people to do it. Bang. What grew out of that was me analyzing the mystery shopping data and being able to give far more valuable insight into what was working and not working from a consumer's perspective rather than from a technical operator's perspective. So that was a business change I didn't foresee. It wasn't part of my big plan, but it worked so well that we've taken it on. We've got 4 clients here in the UAE now, where we're doing mystery shoppers on a regular basis. It just gives a different perspective. Restaurants are all about people, but if the ops director or the owner walks through the door, the team don't work the same. They don't behave the same as they do when you or I walks in. And so you can have brand standards, but you don't know if they're really being fulfilled unless you get some objective input. So that's just a channel of business, a service that's come about through doing a client a favor, and it's really proved successful and valuable for us.
Can you imagine that? Of course, if you are given such a problem, the thinking about the data or collecting the data solves the 80% of it, isn't it?
Yeah, but as always, collecting the data is 80%, but the 20% that gives you the real value is analyzing the data and acting on it. And that's exactly where I come in. We use a mix of people, ordinary, regular consumers that we've trained a little bit to do the mystery shopping. They provide the data, and then I provide insight to the clients that says, this is what I see coming out of this data, and the potential areas within the operation you can improve. And we do this for other companies. We have a team in the Philippines doing this, where we're analyzing video footage to look at operational standards and also to support clients in dealing with the aggregators. And all that data analysis is being done by 50-odd young Filipino students in Manila, but for dealing with companies all over the world.
Amazing. Which comes to me because, speaking for myself in a way that I love problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the staff, like for example, what's happening in the staff are those small bits and pieces that no one witnessed but themselves.
Yeah.
And those are data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are useful data to make, because in the end of the day, my staff would need to deliver me quality photographs on time.
Yep.
But how can he do that if he's having struggle with transportation going back and forth?
Yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, everybody focuses on the frontline part of the service,
front line, yeah.
and but it just doesn't work if all the logistics and support and the back office, if you like, isn't fully functioning and thought through. Especially, with franchising, if you don't get all of those boring logistical, administrative policies and practices right at the start, then the bigger you grow, the bigger the problems arise later on. So it's not glamorous to deal with those sort of parts of the business, but they're the nuts and bolts.
It can only be glamorous if you are directly involved with it.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And everybody in restaurants, everybody focuses on the waiters, the servers,
The service.
and sure enough, they spend more time in direct communication with the customers. So they are absolutely vital. But if the kitchen guys aren't doing a good job, then it just doesn't work. It's not just a team thing, but you've got those policies and procedures that no one ever sees, unless things go badly, at which time they suddenly come to the fore.
Very good, man. Actually, we did a little bit of tweak in our way of doing the podcast. In the end, we're supposed to do the photo shoot, but we have the photo shoot in advance before doing this, which comes me to my final question in a way. What do you feel, what do you see in the next couple of years or maybe 5 years? I mean, with all these AI doing things without mentioning AI, the imagery and the content creation, what's the role of that when it comes to F&B industry and consulting industry?
It's a very timely question because we ran a training course for our team, our associates, about content creation and digital marketing just a week ago. And one young person asked the question similar to yours, basically saying, how do we get ideas using AI, creative ideas? And I'm quite negative about aspects of AI. The bottom line is AI doesn't give creative ideas. It gives support to creative ideas. If you're not a creative, then just using ChatGPT isn't going to turn you into the next marketing Da Vinci. You've got to have the talent and you've got to have the vision. I'm not creative. I wish I was, but I can appreciate good creativity. No AI, no matter how clever it is going to turn me into somebody who can generate the sort of artwork or photography that you or our associates can create. AI will be a support tool. And as long as people see it as a support tool, it can help. It can speed things up. It can do some of those boring logistical things that we talked about. So it can provide checklists to just help you structure your thoughts. That I'm all in favor of. But at the end of the day, for creative output to be valuable, it needs the human skill set.
It needs the human touch. It needs the human skills. It needs the movements. That's why I have started this podcast, because I need movement. I need to see people. I need to find out how they are in their industry. And there you have it, man. Thank you very much, brother.
No, thank you. Pleasure to see you. It's been a while.
I know. So there you have it. The plot twist, because success is just around the corner. Thank you very much for having us. Cheers, man.